Now, when Tom Ford came out with Bitter Peach, I thought that was the end-all be-all of peach fragrances. Juicy, succulent, ripe, bursting at the seams. It has that sweet, fulfilling quality about it. Well, here we have Tonkapeach by the Pearlescent collection, which is a sister brand of Gallagher fragrances. It used to be called Pearlescent Parfum. Now it seems to fall within the same umbrella, and I kind of like that. So this is a brand that Daniel Gallagher started with his wife, and this is the newest release, a 2023 release. This is the 6th one in the collection. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new peach-based fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Tonkapeach by Gallagher Fragrances, I almost said Pearlescent Parfum, but it's now called the Pearlescent Collection. I want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, hit the subscribe button, hit that neighboring bell, and please give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really, really mean a lot to me. So, I know I recently reviewed Purple Powder by Gallagher Fragrances, and one thing that I mentioned in that review is that I really like and I'm keen of the fact that there is a bit of a cheat sheet on the presentation here that lists all of the notes that you can expect to find in the fragrance. Sometimes they can be fantasy notes, sometimes they are exaggerated with an adjective, like in Purple Powder I said there's a toasted cinnamon note, but here we have champagne, peach, which is one of the namesakes of this fragrance, blackcurrant, rosewater, iris, Tunisian neroli, sandalwood, tonka bean, patchouli, and musk. So here's the thing. Tom Ford's Bitter Peach also has a generous amount of patchouli. And one thing that I've always said is as it dries down, it almost turns into like an angel by Thierry Mugler. And in the opening, very bright, very luscious, very saccharine, and I love that opening. But as it dried down, I think it sort of evolved into something familiar, and that kind of turned me away from it initially. But here we have a peach fragrance like no other. The peach is up front and center. It's not used as an accent note or a secondary role. It's not an understudy in this theatrical olfactory production. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance. Let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. Now, of course, in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get the namesake. You're going to get a lot of tonka, you're going to get a lot of peach, and you're going to get more peach than tonka initially. So it's going to open up with like 70% peach, 30% tonka, and that's mainly because of the volatility, right? So peach is comprised of a smaller molecular structure than is tonka bean, so you're going to get it initially, and it opens up very bright, very juicy, very sweet, and you have that natural organic quality, and as soon as you smell it, you're like, that's peach all right. And it does remind you of biting into a peach fruit. It's very sweet. I love the personality that it conveys in the opening, but you give this one 20-30 minutes to dry down, and of course the tonka bean is going to come through. There are some other ingredients here though that also convey a bit of a sweetness that are cleverly combined with some of the other base notes, and one of them is the note of sandalwood. So sandalwood has always said to have a sweet and creamy personality, and you get that in here. That combines with the tonka, it combines with the peach. I know there are some floral ingredients in here as well, iris, rosewater. Those are secondary players in this composition. You know, with Purple Powder, which is the other new fragrance from this brand, I said that one has a noticeable iris ingredient, albeit not waxy or lipsticky, but it did have that noticeable floral personality. Here, you don't get too much of the iris, although I can see how the rose plays a role in this fragrance, but the iris is kind of secondary to the rose. So there's mostly peach, mostly tonka bean, and you do have this other fulfillingly sweet, dried down ingredient, and I don't know if it's vanilla, I don't know if it's some sweet resin, but I'm sure there's something else happening in the dried down that keeps that sweetness alive. And the patchouli that's in here, it is not earthy, it is not chocolatey either, it's not dry or bitter, but it does kind of convey a sense of warmth to the fragrance, and it's used, in my opinion, in a very mild concentration, because as soon as I smelled it, I didn't think to myself, oh, there's a lot of patchouli. You try fragrances like Noir de Noir by Tom Ford, you're going to get a lot of patchouli. Mon Patchouli by, I think, Ramon Monegal, a Spanish brand, that has a lot of patchouli in there as well. This one, not so much. Now, the Neroli, it's kind of in the middle of the box here, but, you know, Neroli is a top note, and there is a bit of a brightness, but I think it adds to the realistic quality of the peach, which I really enjoy. And champagne could be the use of some aldehydes, which again, just brighten up this fragrance in such a fulfilling manner. And of course, a lot of it is that synesthetic connection that one would make. You look at it and you see the color of the cap and it has that peach hue to it. So a lot of T's were crossed and I's were dotted, and, you know, I think Daniel Gallagher and his wife really did a wonderful job of, you know, making sure that this was perfect, not just in terms of the name, but the presentation, the note breakdown, so on and so forth. If you're looking for a sweet, juicy, realistic peach fragrance, you like notes like tonka bean, sandalwood, patchouli, the musk just adds a clean texture to the fragrance. Definitely check this one out. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, here we are dealing with a unique peach fragrance. Especially on the women's side of things, when we're talking about designer fragrances, peach and apricot are usually used as a pairing with other floral notes, and it's so common, it's been done ad nauseum, and it's so ubiquitous in the sense that the peach is not really given a chance to shine. Here, it's up front and center, and I love what he did with this one. So it does possess a certain level of uniqueness that I enjoy, and I also like the fact that it doesn't dry down into like an angel DNA by Thierry Mugler, which is what I got from Bitter Peach by Tom Ford. Longevity on this one is about 8 hours on skin. Projection was wonderful for the first hour of application, just a tad beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 6, a skin scent right around hour 8. In terms of the versatility, in my opinion, it's perfectly unisex, but if people have made that subconscious association between peach perfumes and women's perfumes, then people are going to argue that this one smells feminine. But in my opinion, totally unisex. Great for any time of the year, I would say. It has some bright, open, inviting ingredients that would work really well in the hotter weather, but the longevity is good enough that you can wear this one in the colder weather too. I think this one can be worn casually or formally. I think this one would appeal to anybody of any age. It would appeal to somebody a bit younger on account of the sweetness, but it has that sophisticated complexity that somebody who's a little bit older could really enjoy this one too. In terms of the presentation, I like the color on the cap. I like how heavy the bottle is, the plaque, the graphic, the design, the simplicity of it. The cheat sheet on the back is important too. My final verdict on this fragrance is, I think it's a wonderful release from Gallagher Fragrances, part of the Pearlescent collection, which I love the fact that Pearlescent is under the Gallagher umbrella now, just kind of alleviates any sort of confusion. Hey, thanks for watching. That was my review of Tonkapeach. I almost said Peach Tonka. My review of Tonkapeach. Have you tried this one? Have you tried the neighboring release, which is Purple Powder? If you have, drop your comments down below. If you have a favorite Gallagher fragrance, drop your comments down below. Always interested in hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something from today's episode, won't you please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit that neighboring bell, and please give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. Thanks again for watching. I love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.